Translanguaging practices a closer look. Now and in the coming modules, we will have a closer look at translanguaging practices. We will look at different contexts within which translanguaging occurs, what are the consequences of translanguaging, what are the different forms of translanguaging. We will also talk about translanguaging when we are teaching adolescents in multilingual contexts, and we will also talk about the question of identities, just a brief thing over there, and we will talk also about how is translanguaging different from translation and what are the similarities between the two. Similarly, we will also talk about what are the considerations that need to be kept in mind when translanguaging practices are there in the classrooms. And then we will talk about how bilingual education and translanguaging itself is actually a reaction to immersion programs. And over here, when I talk about immersion programs, I mean monolingual immersion programs. Now, in the previous modules, we have talked about translanguaging. This time, we are going to have a closer look at the classroom context within which translanguaging happens and what do we interpret in terms of language learning and content learning as emerging from these translanguaging practices. So in these terms, this is a more practical look at translanguaging, and this is even more important because translanguaging, although this is the most common features of all bilingual classrooms across the world, including Pakistan, yet translanguaging is actually looked down upon, and one is infested with a sense of shame as if people who are using translanguaging are somehow deficient in either of the languages, or there's something wrong with their language learning or their intelligence level. And that is the reason why it is important for us to see and understand that translanguaging is a feature that is very difficult to control in classrooms, because while we might try to separate subjects, allocating different languages to them, yet translanguaging will happen in informal contexts.